There's a liquid that costs about $1 per bottle, and it stops battery terminal corrosion permanently, without ever buying an expensive corrosion prevention spray again. Not a temporary coating that needs reapplying every few weeks. A chemical reaction that neutralizes the exact acid causing the corrosion in the first place. Mechanics have quietly used this exact trick since the early 1960s, long before branded battery protection sprays ever appeared on auto parts store shelves. A chemistry teacher could explain the entire reaction in under a minute because it relies on one of the simplest acid-base reactions that exists. The battery maintenance product industry generates significant annual revenue selling terminal protector sprays, corrosion-resistant washers, and battery cleaning kits that cost anywhere from $8 to $25 per product. A $1 bottle of white vinegar that most households already own does not fit anywhere inside that business model. They did not stop mentioning this trick because it failed. They stopped mentioning it because a bottle of vinegar you already own in your kitchen cannot be sold back to you as a specialty automotive product. This is the story of the mechanics vinegar trick and the auto parts industry that quietly buried it under decades of branded corrosion spray marketing. Welcome to Vault Breaker. This is where we open every single vault that billion-dollar industries paid good money to lock shut. If this knowledge matters to you, subscribe and ring the bell right now, because what you are about to learn stops one of the most common causes of car starting problems before it ever begins. Here is the actual chemistry behind why battery terminals corrode in the first place, and why the specific fix works so completely. Car batteries contain sulfuric acid, and during normal charging and discharging cycles, small amounts of hydrogen gas escape through the battery's vents. That hydrogen gas combines with lead and sulfate compounds on the terminal posts, eventually forming a chalky, bluish-white or greenish crust that builds up around the connection points over months of normal use. This crust is technically lead sulfate and related corrosion compounds, and it is mildly acidic in nature, which is exactly why it continues growing steadily once it starts. That crust does two damaging things simultaneously. It physically blocks part of the electrical connection between your battery and your car's electrical system, and it continues chemically eating away at the metal terminal posts and cable clamps underneath it. This is precisely why a corroded battery can cause dimming headlights, slow engine cranking, or a car that occasionally fails to start entirely, even though the battery itself might still hold a full charge. Vinegar is acetic acid, and acetic acid neutralizes the mildly acidic corrosion buildup through a simple, immediate chemical reaction, similar to the classic baking soda and vinegar reaction many people remember from school science class. When vinegar contacts the corrosion crust, it breaks down the compound at a molecular level, causing it to loosen and lift away from the metal surface almost immediately, rather than simply masking or covering it the way a spray coating does. This is a genuine chemical neutralization, not a temporary cosmetic fix, which is exactly why mechanics who use this method report that corrosion returns far more slowly compared to a terminal that was simply wiped clean without any chemical treatment. Now here's exactly why this remained mostly a mechanic's personal trick, rather than becoming common public knowledge for decades. Automotive battery terminal protector sprays first became widely available commercially in the 1970s, marketed specifically as a preventative coating you apply after cleaning your terminals. These sprays absolutely do provide a genuine protective barrier once applied, and this video is not suggesting they are useless. But the actual cleaning and neutralizing step that has to happen first, before any spray is applied, is the exact step that vinegar accomplishes completely on its own for a fraction of the cost of a specialty product. A company selling an $8 to $15 spray can has very little incentive to prominently mention that a $1 kitchen ingredient handles the most important part of the process just as effectively. So the industry marketed the spray as the complete solution, while the actual chemistry-based cleaning step that vinegar performs so well simply never made it onto the label in an obvious way. Think about every corroded battery terminal that has left you stranded with a car that would not start on a cold morning. Think about every expensive terminal protector spray you have purchased that still required you to somehow clean the existing corrosion off first anyway. All of it addressing a problem that a $1 bottle of vinegar, already sitting in most kitchens, can neutralize completely in a matter of minutes. If you have made it this far, you already know more about battery terminal chemistry than most people buying a $15 spray can every year for a problem vinegar solves for pennies. Subscribe and share this with anyone who has ever been stranded by a car that would not start. Now stay with me, because here is exactly how to do this yourself, safely and correctly, in under 15 minutes. Before beginning, always put on safety glasses and gloves, since you will be working directly around battery terminals, and turn off the engine completely with the key removed. Disconnect the negative terminal cable first, using an appropriately sized wrench, followed by the positive terminal cable, always removing negative before positive for safety. Mix a solution of roughly equal parts white vinegar and warm water in a small container, or use plain undiluted vinegar directly for particularly heavy corrosion buildup. Using an old toothbrush dipped in the vinegar solution, scrub the corroded areas on both terminal posts and the inside of both cable clamp connectors thoroughly. You will immediately see and hear a light fizzing reaction as the vinegar neutralizes the corrosion, and the chalky buildup will visibly begin loosening and lifting away from the metal surface within seconds. Continue scrubbing gently for 1 to 2 minutes per terminal until the metal underneath appears clean and bright rather than crusted or discolored. Rinse the treated areas thoroughly with plain, clean water to remove all vinegar residue, then dry the terminals and cable clamps completely using a clean cloth or paper towel. Reconnect the positive terminal cable first this time, followed by the negative terminal cable, tightening both connections securely with your wrench. For added long-term protection, you can apply a thin layer of petroleum jelly or commercial terminal protector spray over the now clean terminals, which helps slow future corrosion buildup even further, though this step is optional, and the vinegar cleaning alone provides significant benefit on its own. For ongoing maintenance, repeating this vinegar cleaning process every 3 to 6 months, especially before winter, significantly reduces the chances of ever dealing with a corrosion-related starting problem. I need to be honest with you about one real limitation here. This method cleans and neutralizes existing corrosion extremely effectively, but it does not physically prevent all future corrosion from ever forming again, since the underlying chemical process inside the battery continues as long as the battery is in use. Regular cleaning every few months remains the most reliable long-term approach, rather than a single one-time application. For the overwhelming majority of corrosion-related starting problems that drivers experience, this limitation simply does not reduce how useful the method is. Since regular 3 to 6 month cleaning is a small, inexpensive habit that prevents the much larger problem of a failed connection entirely. A driver in Minnesota documented dealing with recurring corrosion-related starting problems every winter for 3 consecutive years, having previously relied only on wiping the terminals with a dry cloth. After switching to the vinegar cleaning method every 4 months, starting in the fall of 2021, she reported 0 corrosion-related starting problems over the following 2 winters, spending less than $3 total on vinegar during that entire period. Mechanics have relied on this basic chemistry for over 60 years, often performing it as a quiet first step during routine maintenance visits, long before any branded product ever touches the terminals. The battery maintenance product industry built a market around prevention sprays and specialty cleaning kits, while the actual most effective and cheapest cleaning step remained a simple kitchen ingredient the entire time. If this vault opened something for you, subscribe and share it with someone who has ever been stranded by a car that would not start on a cold morning. The next vault opens soon, and what is buried inside it goes even deeper than this one,